I think maybe at the end of the session, whenever somebody asks a question, we
All
can
right.
have them give a
Cool.
little context. And we're just about at the start time here, so uh, we are ready to go. Everybody, raise your hand as long as you can hear us. Okay, perfect. Well, welcome everybody to AIXR's AMA session with Klip VR. Klip VR, they won the Rising VR Company of the Year award for 2020, and for very, very good reason. I'm Jerome Warniak. I work for Sketchbox VR company that does VR training, and I'm hosting the event today. And on my left-hand side here is Adi, who at the age of 9 saw his first cartoon on TV and kind of fell in love with animation since then, and is one of the co-founders of Klip VR. And on my right side is Rishi, who's an entrepreneur who started his own company called Sonova Tech back in 2000 and helped co-found Klip VR back in January 2020. So without further ado, we're going to get into the presentation. There's a few questions I have for the gentleman up here. And the last portion of the session here, the hour, we're going to open up the questions for everybody to ask these founders whatever they'd like about what it's like to build a VR company, state of VR, basically anything and everything that just don't ask them to sing. We've learned that that's not going to be on the docket here today. So
Yeah.
So I guess I'll start with Rishi. Rishi, you've been in the animation space for a long time. Would you mind giving us a little background on how you started Sonova Tech and maybe walk us all the way up till starting Klip VR here?
Well, that's a really nice question. In fact, Sonova Tech and the way I started was an accident. It never was supposed to be an animation company, and it was more of a tech company doing business into the sphere of internet and web services. And as you gradually grow, we got a pretty good chance, and I realized that we had a much more inclination towards the communication, and from that sphere, we started getting into the businesses of films, and that calls in for animation to come in, and that's where both me and Addy got collaborated a long time ago, and we saw there was a good potential, and somehow after our first animation, which was more like a commercial, world started noticing us, and then we started getting more and more of business in Sonovatech, and that's how it all started.
Incredible. And one of those projects I was reading about was to do with infrastructure and helping developers and governments understand how infrastructure would impact traffic and pedestrian patterns. How did that work?
Well, that's a very niche segment, which basically involves my skills coming from my web uh, interface, or my mathematical interface, that actually brought in, and we looked into different types of simulation models. Which were giving very good interpretations in terms of data and charts for decision makers to decide about any new scheme, how people will move, but it had a very big problem that it had no visualization. So we converted that mathematics into animation using skills from Aditya and combining our mathematics all together onto it. And it became very popular. And one after another, more and more government projects started coming to us because most of the decision makers were like public authorities or ministers or somebody who really understand mathematics, but they could really visualize once they see animation, which is derived from that mathematics in real scenarios. So that's what it was all about.
Well, I mean, that's a perfect segue into, I guess, what Klip VR is now.
Yeah.
I mean, for most people in the room growing up in school, most stuff you're learning is out of a textbook or a lecture from somebody speaking and explaining or trying to create a visual idea with words. But Klip VR, similar to animating what you did with Sonova Tech, has created a different level of education that allows students to visualize experiences. Maybe Addy, you could give us a brief background, introduce Klip VR and kind of how the story started there.
Yeah, I've been associated with games since 20 years now, I've been producing game assets for company like EA Sports, Microsoft, 2K Games, Ready at Dawn Studios, etc. So I always creating something new for the gaming industry. I know virtual reality is a new tech, and we want to do something for the emerging tech, and we want to uh, create a second stream of business and do something great in India. So that's how we thought like we should do something in the education sector where we bring a change where how students learn and they explore the immersive world, creating a content which is supporting the curriculum of the school and breaks this linear style of teaching in the school. And VR is the next tech, no doubt about it. So that's why we thought, let's start Klip VR, a brand new company with our experience, with our creative team, and we can create something really fascinating, which everybody would love, and make a name of India. That's where we start. We created our first title, Chandrayaan VR, which recently was a very prestigious and proud moment for India when we launched a rocket which goes to the moon. That's where we start. Clipware to change the education society of India.
Wow, powerful. And I'm assuming, put your hand up here if you've ever had an idea to start something with a VR company.
He said my mic's not off, but it is. Can you just come and have a look?
A couple people. Okay, so I want to hear from the two gentlemen up here. Was there a moment when you guys turned and looked at each other and said, okay, we've got this idea. Maybe we can actually build a company, a business around it? How did that moment happen? Or what was the process for going from let's talk about it to let's do it?
Well, if you talk about it, more than this idea, you needed a lot of courage to get into this particular sphere. I mean, idea is definitely the starting point of any particular thing to write down. But when both me and Addy, we were discussing about how do we look at it, scaling about it, and how do we actually get this idea on ground, it required two most important things. The first one was that it cannot be just anything that we bring in with VR. The content has to be fascinating. The content has to be really awesome. And the second most important part was that how do we make this uh, accessible to so many number of people, and that too which is very very affordable for them to come and adopt for this particular technology, or adopt for VR. These were two important things. When we cracked this thing, definitely there was no way looking back, and that's how Clip VR was all about. And it started coming out. It started shaping up.
Well, the what you mentioned there about making things accessible and the cost. If you think back 5 years ago in the VR industry, hardware, the average cost was exponentially high. You needed a powerful computer. If you wanted something that's good quality, you needed a room with sensors in it, HTC Vive setup, whatever it is. And now there's a lot of hardware companies that are driving the cost down and making this more accessible. Do you think it would have been possible to start Clip VR 5 years ago, or is this the right time to start it because of those hardware costs coming down?
Well, that's a fantastic question, honestly speaking. 5 years ago, we were experimenting and we failed number of times what we were trying to do. It's absolutely right to say that hardware was only in 2019 when we basically understood that how VR can actually go around to places. Uh, your question is pretty much valid. I mean, even till 2018 end or early 2019, I would have not even dreamt of doing and having say 40 people in a classroom accessing VR at a single go, which would have meant having a whole circuitry of sensors all around conflicting with each other. So uh, now is the right time to be in VR.
There's no question of that. I mean, we're living proof of that right now. We're hosting
Yeah.
a presentation for people all across the world. It's 1:30 in the morning right now in New Delhi.
Yeah,
So, and
Yeah.
I don't know, 10, 11 a.m. or 12 p.m. here in San Francisco. Um, I want to speak specifically about the Chandrayaan VR experience. This is a flagship experience you've built. Can you give the audience an explanation or kind of describe how a class would sign up and say, hey, guys, I'd like you to come in and provide this experience, explain what the experience is and how that process works with a classroom of students?
abs- abs- yeah, absolutely. Chandra is a mission which we have created. Like recently, India launched their first mission to moon. It's supposed to land on the moon, but it didn't land. But we want to show to the students, to the Indian children, that how the whole mission has happened. What's the whole journey of the rocket exiting the Earth atmosphere, how what's the stages of the mission and how it will land on the moon. And we have designed the whole experience where kids got the opportunity to drive the rover on the moon surface, see the whole topography of the moon surface. There's a big whole 30 minutes of experience what we have created for the children to use. We come up with the idea is like, we know it's very difficult for schools to create a big VR lab which can cater so many students, and how we can manage the whole hardware. So we make a business plan where we offer the services to the school. We create a mobile VR lab where we can add up as many VR stands, or you can say our VR headset, according to the school demand or the need what they offered. So we have created a mobile VR lab. We go to the school, we show this experiences to as many number what they we can cater. It can be 400, 500, 600, up to 1000 kids. We can cater with our mobile lab, and we give a full 1 hour of experience to the school kids. It's not just a VR experience, but we have a pre-show where we show, or where we introduce kids to the VR. That gives them the heads up about what is virtual reality, what they're going to experience in virtual reality, how to properly wear a headset, how to manage the controllers. Now, because of the COVID, we have to take extra precautions for all the hygiene, safety, sanitizers, masks, temperature checks. So we have to add all that safety checks in our laboratory. So, and after the experience, they come out, and they get their photograph clicked for the experience what they got, and they keep them and show them to their parents. So there's a whole 1 hour of experience. It's just not the Chandrayaan, but the whole journey with the pre-show where we introduce kids for the with the technology. We have touchscreen kiosk where they interact with the subject, understand it, understand what is virtual reality, learn it, enjoy it, and keep this experience throughout their life. They will never going to forget this what they have seen.
Well, the
I
first
hope.
experience, I'm sure everybody in here probably remembers the first time they put a VR headset on and what they did in it. For me, it was in my living room when a friend came over
Yeah,
and said, "Hey, I've built this training simulation. I'd like you to check it out." And I'll never forget my first reaction. Within 30 seconds, I mean, my brain was kind of was a little scrambled and trying to comprehend what was going on. It was an incredible experience. And so all these students are getting probably their first VR experience with you guys. And when you guys go into a school and explain how it works and then put them through the experience, I'm curious, what sort of reactions do you get from the students and from the teachers when you go in and run this program? What sort of feedback have you gotten?
it's mind
Can I
blowing.
answer? Yeah,
It's
mind blowing.
they have not
Eddie,
experienced this. It's
let's just
mind.
tell
Yeah,
them one word. Let's just tell them
yeah,
one word. The answer. They
yeah,
only say wow.
yeah.
They only say wow.
They
They
are
just simply
fascinated. They
love
want
it.
to
Yeah,
know more.
fascinated. Yeah.
Uh, yeah, they want to know more. They want to explore more. We can see their curiosity. It's touching the ceiling, and they want to enjoy this more. They ask us what all is there in the VR experiences. What next we can experience? How soon we can
Absolutely.
experience that? Then the list goes on and on. There's a lot of demand from the school side that what all can you do with which that supports the curriculum? Can you show about the human anatomy? Can you show them climate change, earth ecology, electricity? That's all is in the pipeline that we are going to show to the kids.
Wow. I don't know if you guys watched growing up, at least I grew up in Canada, and there was a very popular kids show growing up called The Magic School Bus, where Miss Frizzle, I don't know if anybody here watched Magic School Bus growing up? I hope somebody, okay,
I've
thank you.
seen it.
I think
And
I
Miss
think I did as
Frizzle,
well. Yeah.
they would load up a school bus of kids and they would magically go wherever the situation was. And I distinctly remember episodes where they would go inside the human body and explore the
Yeah.
stomach or intestines and things like
Yes.
that. And you guys are planning to essentially do this in the next couple of years. Can you explain what that um, experience will look like? I think it's called Inside the Human Body.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. That's
Addy, Addy, would you like to answer that?
yeah. This is our next title, which is Inside the Human Body, where we're going to take it immersively inside the human body, and we're going to teach them the respiratory system and our digestive system. The test reading through test book and seeing few images is very boring for the kid. They might not fully understand the subject, and all the scientific language, the word, the pharynx and esophagus is very difficult for them to understand and learn. They show no interest. But when you put a kid in a virtual world, an immersive world, and step by step he goes inside the human mouth, they see the chewing happening, that then you're swallowing the food and it's going in through your food pipe into your stomach and through your intestine. So we explain them the whole process, and the stages of the digestive system. Same goes with the respiratory system, how the diffusion happens inside the human lungs, how we breathe in the oxygen and exhale the carbon dioxide, how the diffusion happens, and why we need oxygen uh, to live. So this is all we are trying to showcase in our next experience. Make it as creative as possible, as simple as possible for kids to enjoy, learn, explore, imagine, dream with all these virtual experiences. So that's where we think we virtual reality plays a big role to teach kids creatively, connect them, collaborate with them, let them explore the opportunity what they can do. We always say, like, our tagline is the art of imagination. We want to explore. We want kids to explore the art of imagination. We want them to think outside the box. Bring in new ideas from a very young age. Start thinking about new ideas, what they can do, and introduce them with the current tech and technology.
Uh,
that's
it,
the
it,
that's the next
I
title.
really, I wanna be part of one of those classes. I wish I could
Sure,
sign up
sure.
right now for it.
Soon.
Do you think it's possible?
Awesome.
You guys are getting some amazing reactions from educators, from teachers, and are saying, "Can you build this? Can you build that?" Do you
Yeah.
see down the road a place where there's actually VR built into curriculum that is being taught across different schools, districts, school boards, or do you think that's 10 years in the future, 50 years away? Where do you think that's actually at compared to just an experience of entertainment?
Okay, if I look at it, the way the technology and the way our community is growing in VR, I believe that that's no more than 5 years away. So the most important thing in VR, which I heard in one of the forums, in fact, and that actually stuck my brain, was that either there is a good VR or there is a bad VR. There's nothing in between. And one of the most important things over here is that if you're into the business of good VR, this will come very soon because the impact will be like that. VR is not about just creating any kind of an environment. It has to be an unforgettable experience. Uh, if the area where we focus is education, and one of the psychological parameters, and a lot of experts also say that learning by doing actually is a much better way of doing it, and virtual reality is completely capable of doing that and providing experiential based learning factors. it's not about giving education to children. It's about taking these kids into those situations where they practically cannot go. I mean, if you just imagine, a kid, maybe who is about 14 years old, we are taking him inside the human body, or if he's able to become a scientist to explore surface of moon. It's all about imagination, what Adi has said. So yes, why not? In 5 years down the line, when we see a lot of traction happening around, when our community grows, that's the next area where VR will be a major part of education system.
I hope that comes true. I mean, I believe fully in what you just said there. What I want to get into here, we've talked a lot about how you guys have deployed so far and what the benefits are for students, and I think it's pretty clear to everybody in here. They see the vision as well. I want to talk
Yeah.
about the business side of things.
Yes.
There's a lot of pet projects. Everyone's got an idea. It
Yeah.
costs money. It costs a lot of money to develop and build a good
Yep.
VR experience. There's a lot of crummy stuff out there. I almost
Absolutely.
got nauseous riding a roller coaster in VR yesterday. Some things just don't work, right? I'm curious where kind of the business is right now in terms of customers and where you guys planning on going, or what the growth strategy, without divulging too much information, what the growth
Hmm.
strategy is over the next couple of years.
Okay. Uh, if you look at it, I would rather say that we were into real business, which was pre-pandemic stage. Our business model was primarily to go get into the schools and to cater to masses, as many as kids we can do. But yes, it is all again coming back. We have got again a lot of traction coming back from schools when they're opening and with a lot of SOPs. If you look at it, we work in a market where we have got we potentially, I believe, we have got more than seven seven no 70 million plus kids, school going kids. That's what our market size is.
Wow.
And if we look at it, it's a very niche thing. In each school where we go in India, we have got an average of about 1,500 kids who are available for this VR experience. Uh, so that's the way we look at it. Our content that we are trying to make is, or what we are making is very, very unique. It fits it. Everybody loves this kind of a content. So at the end of the day, I would say that the market is very big where we are operating, and the business is looking pretty bright right now.
On top of the business model, I don't know if you can share this, but can you give us a ballpark sort of cost of what one of these experiences would be for a school or a class to do, or have you
Okay.
guys locked that in yet? Could you share that?
Yes, we have that. Well, the cost is per student. It's not per
Okay.
school, actually. So we talk about $7 for an experience from a kid. That's the
Mhm.
kind of a cost that we are talking about. But it completely depends upon the titles. Some of them is seven, and some of the larger titles could go up till about $10 per student. Our idea is to keep the cost uh, much lower than a cost of pizza in India.
Interesting. What I've found in my experience in VR development so far is there's two ends of the spectrum when it comes to business models. One is producing extraordinarily expensive custom content. Big Fortune 500 companies can afford to do training or experiences for their employees because they're offsetting massive costs with it. On the other
Yeah.
side of the spectrum are out of the box experiences or solutions that work for a mass number of people. And when you talk about 70 million students in India, that's a gigantic market
Yeah.
to go after. And there's so much upside there. It's incredible.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, well, this is such a big market that if we look at it the way we are aiming at, within a span of next I would say not even three, maybe about 2 years, we are hoping to at least provide our VR experiences to about 1 million kids in a year. So
Wow.
that's our uh, targeted aim, which I think we will achieve it sooner or later.
Yes. I hope so. And just before we get into questions from the audience, there's
Yeah.
probably someone in the room, at least one person who is interested in starting a business, or they've already started a business. And one of the biggest challenges, particularly in virtual reality, is scaling that business, which requires funding. And there's a lot of skeptical people in the market about the future of VR. Probably none of them are in this room right now, but I'm curious how you guys are planning to finance growth to get to 1 million students going through your experience in a year. That costs a lot of money to develop and manage hardware and actually deploy this. Can you give the audience a little perspective into how you've addressed the finances, fundraising, and sort of how you plan to scale with on the financial side?
Well, definitely, any of these scaling ideas, when you talk about in business, requires support in terms of financing and investments. They are very, very important. And what I say is that it is not just investment that you need for to scale up your activities, but it is also important to keep up to date with technology as it develops. Okay, these are two important aspects. Investment is also important when it terms of resources and your team when it comes down to produce something. So yes, we are right now in rounds of investments. I would say that we had a unique example of for Klip VR, where we actually have now reached to about pre-series A series without having any investor with us as of now. So we were good enough to invest ourselves, both me and Addy, within Klip VR, and bring it down till this particular stage of the company. And the next round is now up, and that's what we are looking at.
That's incredible. I mean, it takes a lot of guts to put your own money up to chase an idea down, and I'm sure it's
Yeah.
not inexpensive to do that. So
Yes, of
there's
course.
there's a lot that can be learned. I'm sure from your story, and with that, I'm going to open up the questions here to the audience. So if you would like to, you can raise your hand to ask a question, and I'll be able to unmute your microphone so you can ask the question. I believe that's how it works, Brandon. Give me a thumbs up or a hand if I'm right. Okay, excellent. So let me just open up my host panel here. And does anybody have a question they'd like to ask these great gentlemen from Klip VR? Just go ahead and raise your hand if you do.
Ask us anything related to virtual reality or how to start a virtual reality startup company.
Perfect. We've got
Yes,
Steven in the back. I'm just going to give
and
him
Jack.
access and Jack. We'll go with Steven first and go ahead. I think you should be able to speak now.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we
Yep.
got you.
Perfect. I wanted to ask one question. Can VR, as VR glasses, for example, be connected or used by 360 cameras and actually share the experience in that way?
Well, can you please repeat your question? We were not able to get the real context.
The context is, for example, if you use VR, can you actually
Yeah.
implement it in real life, in a sense, like to transmit, like when somebody's like moving with a 360 camera on their head or whatever, like to transmit and use it, in a sense, like
Well,
to share your experience?
If you're already into VR, why would one like to have a 360-degree camera mounted on his head, and have the similar experience to share it, But nevertheless, the answer to your question is that yes, there is already a tech which has been utilized quite a lot, which we don't call it, but it's normally used in defense mechanisms where they use a hybrid form of virtual reality for training into real world scenarios and simulation for various type of techniques. We had been part of one of the university programs where we have actually worked on a similar technology.
Is that technology accessible to commerce, like outside? or is it
Well,
just a separate
not yet, because that was a single camera, single GoPro camera system which was being attached, not a 360 camera rig onto it. But it was good enough because we were able to overlay 3D. But yeah, now it is all augmented reality. So normally we don't need to do that. That was done about 4 years ago.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
And Stephen, if you don't mind, if I follow up on that question, I mean, for a lot of developers, they have to. You look at any business model with VR, and you've got to kind of choose: are we going to go the 360 video route, or are we going to go 6 degrees of freedom? Obviously, there's benefits and pros and cons to both. Now, I don't know if it's easy to get a 360 camera on a space shuttle and record a mission for your business, but did you guys consider doing 360 video for your experiences, or why did you choose 6 degrees of freedom developing that way?
You're asking me, right?
I was asking the guys up here, but yeah, if you have a comment on it, please go ahead, Steven.
Yeah, because I have a project in house, let's call it that way, and it's related with that. And basically, the problem with it, main problem is the data transmission. Actually, the quality of video. So if it's stored, yeah, it can be done. But if it's transmitted like live, going live, it's a big problem to share the experience. Depending, there's a lot of variables like on the other side how the other people's computers process it and so on and so on. But we're testing it now and we want to see how it goes. We might even end up
Yeah,
Nice.
showing you guys.
yeah. No, we started with the with recording 360 video on the live location, like we did simulation animation earlier. With everything was CG, you have the real buildings and the whole roads and traffic and everything, and then you have to superimpose the newly built road or the infrastructure. Then we thought, why don't we do a 360 video of the real location and add our 3D model on top of that. But that was very difficult to do. The tracking was not catching up with the 360 video, and it's very hard to animate in a 360 video. So it didn't. We don't want to invest more our time and money to explore this technology, and we thought, let's stick to the making it complete virtual.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for the question there, Stephen. We've got another question
You're
in the back, I believe. Let me just open this up again. And this is Starlapse. I'm just going to give you the megaphone here to ask your question. Starlapse, if you're there, please go ahead with your question.
Hi, can you hear me?
Gotcha.
Yes.
Cool. Thanks for the presentation, guys. I really enjoyed it. And congrats on all your success. I was just curious. So I work with VR games companies. I compose music. I'm just really curious to know, what are some cool VR specific design things that you've kind of come across, or lessons that you've learned of things that work particularly well in VR compared with more traditional media?
Why we started doing VR is just because it's an immersive experience, and the best part is the interactivity in the immersive experience. You can show somebody a 3D video on YouTube or on a TV and try to explain the concept over there. But in VR, you can give them practical training, how to interact in the environment, solve puzzles, search your own way. So you can make a content, custom made content which suits different age groups, different requirement, content for uh, kids with disabilities. So that's why immersive world is just not limited to an experience, but this teaching and the interactivity part, which is missing in creating a standard 3D video.
Cool. Thank you.
I hope I
Yeah.
solve your answer.
Rishi, do you have any comments on that?
Well, there are two different things in altogether. Creating a standard traditional media production is a completely different ballgame and a pipeline, and producing something in VR is a completely different ballgame. Although the the certain part of processes remains very similar, but the overall planning, the overall project management and execution has a completely different methodology to handle a VR project. One thing is there in VR, everything is simple if you know how to resolve your problems, and everything is complicated if you are not able to track it. Uh, the decisions that you make, in VR and how they will actually impact your project itself. There's no way that I would say that you have a chance to create a VR and then evaluate. You have to be very careful from day one what exactly you want and set your visions and goals right when you start a project. Wherein in traditional media, things are slightly much different. I would say traditional media, which is not easier, but it's also not as complicated as VR itself.
Sure, thank you.
And just before anybody else puts their hand up here, or maybe if somebody else has a question, I'm really curious. I joined my company after they had their first big customer, and we're in scale mode right now. But I'm really curious, for anybody that's in the audience that's thinking about starting their own business, what advice would you guys have? I mean, Rishi, you've started two businesses now. It seems, and
Yep.
and built both of them up. What have you kind of learned throughout that process, and what would you tell yourself if you could go back to 1999 before you started your first business? What sort of mistakes or things could you solve if you were to speak to your younger self?
Well, the biggest mistake that you do is that when you become over ambitious about any of the things. I mean, you cannot forget about the practical world. When you are getting into a business, you have to understand uh, all the pros and cons before you get into any kind of a business itself. One of the key things is that there is, I normally call it as an entrepreneur, business is a one-way street. You cannot just go and exit all the time. So you have to actually drive through that particular path, no matter how bad your journey is. But you actually have to keep driving because you cannot actually come back. You, so if you are starting a business, just imagine that you're sitting into a car. Either you're entering a one-way street or it that does not have a reverse gear, because every action that you're going to take is going to take you forward. You have to learn from your own mistakes or your good things. Keep collaborating all your good experiences and keep enhancing that. Business is all about teamwork. Business is not about individual things, and any business, whatsoever you take it, is actually incomplete and unsuccessful if it is a one-man army. You have to build your army of people who believe in you, who trust in you, and at the same time, you're able to make sure that your team is important to you. So if you get this kind of a feeling, I believe that you will be able to make a successful business in whatever stream
Wow.
you get into.
Great advice. One-way street. Once you're on the train, it doesn't stop, I guess. And you guys are lucky to have each other as business partners. I've worked in startups for a long time now, and I know how important working with the right people is. Um, how do you guys sort of decide how to split projects up? Is somebody more on the business side, somebody on development side? How do you guys sort of split up tasks and ideas and things to execute?
Okay. Well, Addy.
Yeah.
Well, Addy. Well,
It's
Addy. Addy, go
Rishi
ahead.
handles
Sorry.
all the business marketing strategies, finance side of the business, and I handle all the content creation production side of the business. So our tasks are pretty clear, our duties are pretty clear, our responsibilities are pretty clear. We know what I have to do, how to drive the production, the 3D content process, and Rishi knows how to drive the finance, marketing, other side of the business. Yeah, so you can say we are two engines of the same car, which supports different functions. So once we are very clear with our vision, with our responsibilities, it's a very smooth process after that. Though we interact and we fight, we have disagreement a lot regarding many decisions, but that all is a healthy decisions. It boils down to the fact that that decision will help us to proceed further.
Wow. Has anybody in the audience, is there anybody currently working at a startup, early stage company, something that's a year in or thinking about doing that? Put your hand up, maybe. No. All right. Well, if
Jack,
you
I
do,
thought you
I
want
know.
to ask something yet. Jack, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, Jack. Let me unmute you. Just a second here. Oh, sorry, Jack. Go ahead and raise
Steven.
your hand there. If you, all right. We got Steven here.
I just wanted to say I'm in a startup for 2 years, right. One
Gotcha.
is
Is
2
it?
years in, one is 2. So it's all about organization and implementing, like the colleague said, dividing the obstacles, who conquers them best. So that's it.
Divide and
Great.
conquer. And if anybody is looking to join a startup as well, I know one that's going to be rising fastly. No pun intended. Jack, you've got a question over there. Do you mind just raising your hand and I'll be able to unmute you?
Yes.
Let's
There we go.
When you guys first started, was it hard focusing on one project, or did you have like multiple projects in your head that you feel like that you could do in VR? And not
Well,
the
we've been
cost.
doing.
Mhm.
Does you want to answer this, or should I go?
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, we've been doing R&D in VR for last 4 years parallelly. Not like just project, but just learning the technology, how it works, learning Unreal Engine, how we can integrate our 3D assets into the virtual world. So we've been doing a lot of research into VR. But once we start our company, Klip VR, we did our first title straight away. I mean, we just focused on our first title to be make it the best experience one can see. And then once it's ready, it's almost there, say you can say 80%, then we start parallelly working on our next title, which is the human body, going inside the human body. So yeah, as a startup, we focus on our first product, first title completely without any distraction.
Absolutely. So just to add up over here, it's very much important to focus on any of the project or the first project that you're doing. As a startup, you're always fascinated. Let me grab this. Let me grab this. Let me try to do something else, and maybe I would be more successful. Control your mind. Focus on one thing. Set the benchmarks for your next products, and that's where you will see a very big difference. So when we did our first thing, as Adi said, we set the benchmark that this is the minimum benchmark that we are going to go ahead with, and nothing goes down with that. We always have to keep increasing expectations for when you do the next project, but one project at a time is a good strategy to go with.
You can
Okay.
keep it simple. Once you start, don't just jump onto too much of complexity, effects, multi-layer of a modeling, texturing. You can keep it very simple, and anytime you can add up effects or layer of over creativity on top of that. So just keep on going. Don't stop. Just keep working on it, and you will get there.
Awesome. Thanks for
Great.
all the advice there. And thanks for the question
Awesome.
there, Jack. We appreciate it. Are there any other questions in the audience there? We've got a few minutes left here.
I think you can unmute everybody so anybody can freely talk and ask us anything.
Oh yeah, we've got Bree Guy with the question. I'm just turning your megaphone on, so you should be able to speak now. Go ahead.
Hi, can you hear me?
We got you. Yep.
Yes.
What advice would you have for somebody who's a user experience designer looking to get into VR? Is learning Unity or Unreal the only path forward into the VR space as a designer, or are there other options?
I think the current trend, the leading is Unreal Engine, following by Unity. So I believe you can focus right now any of two. Either it can be Unity or Unreal Engine. These are the two best game engine available in the market, and most of the content people are creating only in these two engines. So you can keep focus on both of them. We are using Unreal Engine as our main engine to create all our VR title.
Yeah.
And being a UI experience creator, I think you have a very good opportunity to explore your career. There's a lot of demand for the user interactive experience people. So you can quickly learn these two software, and you can jumpstart your career right away.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for the question. I'll just add one more comment on that, if you don't mind, there, Jack. Um, is that COVID has done a lot of bad things in the world. It's also accelerated a lot of trends, and remote working is by far one of those big trends that's accelerated. And I know from our own company, we're able to leverage talented developers all over the world to work on projects. And I'd imagine on the UI end of things, it's quite easy to get involved in projects that are not necessarily in your city or in an office you walk into, but to kind of expand your horizons to the entire world. Would you guys have any recommendations of a developer, where to look for new fast growing companies, or somewhere where they could actually start their career in VR UI?
Yes, there after COVID, there's a lot of openings I see over the internet for the work from home. People are no longer wanted to be present in the offices. They can work from any part of the world, sitting in their comfortable house and doing a productive, making it a productive day. So, as a company, COVID has opened up this possibility to let people work from their home. Otherwise, earlier we ourselves thought like, how can we let people work from their home? There's a piracy issue, there's a protection of the content and everything. But now once you have a perfect system in place, you have your server in place, there are a lot of softwares available in the market which you can really track uh, the progress of your employees, what they are doing, how efficient they are. So things are pretty much streamlined now, and it's very easy for people to work from their home and not to be present in the office. Though it gives you a different kind of satisfaction when you interact with your team one on one and you see them all together working in the production house. But I think it's a both a win-win situation for everybody. People can afford to come, they can come, and if company offers them to work from home, they can comfortably work from home.
Yeah. Well, this environment is great. I'd much prefer to be sitting with everybody in real life right now. I don't know about you
Yeah,
guys.
look at this. Yes.
Jack B. Nimble, did you have a question there you wanted to ask the gentleman?
Is he muted?
Oh, there we go. Okay, you're good to
Oh,
go.
Jack,
We
we
can
can
hear you.
hear you.
Okay. So the Unity is that the only one software, I guess, that you guys like predominantly use? Like say for instance, if there was another one that probably wasn't that that sophisticated at the moment, but it's something where you could add on to it and really play with it yourself and make your own mentions of um software.
Uh,
Would that be
you're talking Unreal Engine, right?
yeah, or I'm not sure for sure how you say it. It's like Leah Lithe, I think.
My name is
Small.
Aditya. You can call me Eddie. You can call me Eddie.
Uh-huh. Yeah, the name
Yeah.
of the software is like Lith. It's like Lith,
Okay.
a Leith or something like that.
Okay.
It's very small,
All right.
but
Mm-hmm.
you can is VR capable. It's predominantly where it is for VR, but it's like
Uh,
it's like
uh,
augmented reality, I guess you could put it.
Jack, you're referring
okay.
to like a different development system outside of Unity or Unreal, like a smaller development system?
Uh huh. Yeah.
Gotcha. Are you guys, as the expert developer over here, Addy, are you aware of any other developer platforms for VR other than Unreal and Unity that are
Yes,
interesting? Or
there are
yeah,
other yes, there are other softwares who you can create your virtual reality products. Some are really free. You can use. You can create your own content and publish it. Why we are using the the Unreal Engine or Unity is just because as an entrepreneur, it gives you uh, a leverage to train your employees quickly, where there's a lot of tutorials content available online on their website. Anybody can jump in, see all the tutorials, learn very quickly, and come back to next day and start the production. They have their backend team, support team, to answer all your queries, all your problems. They can solve it in a day's time. So that's what we see as a business uh, setup, that what suits us, which can speed up our production without any kind of a blocking. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, but just for
we
you two, like when y'all was starting up, like I guess like as not so much as a pet project, but like as something for you, you know, like to um grow with or have it grow with you as opposed to like something for someone who works for you, you know, because you guys are the creators, right? Does if that makes sense.
Uh,
Well, honestly speaking, as a creators, you always wanted to focus on what is your primary agenda and focus. For us, we want to focus on creating and developing content rather than getting into nuances of the software. We do evaluate whatever are the possible options to us, and then we utilize these options. So definitely Unreal and Unity, they both are great softwares. It also depends upon the comfort factors with the team and the kind of resources that are available to get into these things. So, if I've heard your question right, uh, well, we keep exploring whatever new is coming, but at the end of the day, we always look at enterprise level solutions that are able to offer.
the best tool is always the tool that works at the end of the day.
Yeah,
Whatever works is
yes.
what should be used. No, no
yeah.
problem. Well, thank you for the question there, Jack. We've got one more question here from Bree Guy. I'm just going to amplify your voice there. Go ahead with your question. Think you're still muted there, Bree Guy.
Um, yeah, I
There
don't
we
think
go.
I have a
We
question. I'm
got you.
sorry. Yeah, I didn't have a question. I'm sorry.
Oh, my apologies.
No problem.
Okay, unless there's any other questions, we've got a couple minutes left. So I was going to throw out sort of a wrap up statement here. First of all, we appreciate everybody coming out to the AMA. We really appreciate your guys' insight. And the last question I'm going to pose, maybe start with Rishi, is 5 years from now, we'll be sitting down in probably a Super Bowl stadium, 40,000 person auditorium as everyone's listening to your amazing keynote speech about how fast and big Klip VR has gotten. Where do you guys see yourselves in 5 years time from now? Where would you like to be?
Wow. Well, the straightforward answer is, that I would like, your thoughts to become reality. So,
I I love
so,
that.
uh, so, so 5 years down the line, we definitely wanted to make sure that it is very, very important that we are able to deal with uh, every new challenge that is coming up, grow this VR industry. That's what it is. We want to take every day the way it comes. Okay. But yes, again, thanks, but I think, I can't differ than your vision for Clip VR and my vision. We would like to have at least about cater to about 5 million plus users and for 5 million experiences by that time. That's the kind of a size we look at ourselves, and at least have got about, I would say, not less than about 25 to 30 titles and very, very unique titles. Grow a community, allow our friends from the community to come and collaborate onto a Clip VR platform, and then be a part of the overall ecosystem. So that's what our vision is, to create an ecosystem that is highly immersive, interactive, role play level kind of a content for education. And it's not just small link that we are looking at. We would like all of you to join our community at any time and be a part of that.
I'll be first in line. I appreciate that, Rishi. Anything else, Adi, you'd like to add to that? I'm sure you guys are aligned on the future of the business.
Absolutely. We just want our name as a brand, Klip VR, to be globally recognized and taken as a highly respectable company who is creating educational content. We just want that to be known, and people known us with the kind of quality what we are producing, uh, and have a great brand name to be known as. That's what I want coming down the line, 2 year, 3 years, or
Perfect.
5 years, to create a brand which is globally recognized and respectable.
Awesome. And what's the best way for our audience and myself to follow your guys' progress and success? Is a website, Instagram, Facebook? How can we follow you guys?
Well, you can follow us
Yes,
on our website, and I will put it into a message box for everybody to do that. Of course, we are there on Facebook, Insta, through the platform of AIXR. We will be adding up a lot more things that to come around.
you
Excellent.
can
Well,
follow
that's
us
great to hear. Yeah.
hashtags Clip VR, just Clip VR. You can hashtag Clip VR. We are everywhere: YouTube, Insta, and LinkedIn.
Perfect. Well, thank you guys for your time here. We're out of time. I hope everybody enjoyed the presentation today. Thanks for all the questions. Hopefully you learned something. I did. I'm inspired. I'm going to go back to work and try and build our business up. So thanks so much for the time. We've got the message from the event host there at clipvr.com. Go ahead, follow them, and good luck. Everybody have a good rest of your day or night for those of you in New Delhi.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.